Namaskars, pranamams, good mornings, good evenings to one and all. In India, it is Holi today, so a colorful evening to all of you and a colorful morning to many of you. See, when we talk about emotions, I think we should start with the life, the way we experience it, and what Ashok, if I share the screen, it says it will stop sound share from the others.
I try sharing you, sir. Just give me a minute.
Yeah. No, sharing is enabled. Only thing is, if I share some sound, it says it will stop the sharing. So we will start today's session with where is this guy? That's not going to be visible. Oh, let me just set these things. So let us start today with a small, this one. Suppose the emotions are not part of our day. What happens to our
What is life without emotions? And should we try to control our emotions? Life without emotions. Yeah, it would be a relief, huh? No worries, no more hurt, no more guilt, no more tears. I understand why some of us feel that way. I do. As I said before, emotions are messy, complex, subjective, and personal. Now, let's dive into psychology about emotionless life. Now, I want you to access your strongest memories. It can be love, like your first love, or it can be a kiss from your loved ones, or it can be a loss, like breakup or death of a loved ones, or it can be success, having a dream, or winning a gold medal, failures, losing a competition, or losing a job, etc. Now, how many strongest memories that you access right now are without intense emotions? Everything, isn't it? You see, emotions determine the quality of our life. It is what makes us to scream, to love, to cry, to kiss, to hug, to care. Should we control our emotions? No, you can't, and you shouldn't. Controlling your emotions, suppressing it, repressing it, venting out, nothing works. Even if it works, then it always backfires. Our unprocessed emotions will not do any good to both you and the people around you. The unprocessed emotions always find a way to interfere with your behavior. So, one best thing we can do is emotional management, which simply is studying it and getting educated in it and teaching others about it and providing respect and practice of what you learn with open-mindedness. That's the only best thing will work now and ever. Now, bottom line, emotions is what make our life colorful. Emotionless, numb life is not worth living. That's it. This is Mr. A.
Right? So if that is what life is all about, and what we have been learning till today is around our journey in this lifetime, the necessary learnings that we have, and how do we implement them in our real life. So let us try to understand what are these equations and how do they help us, how do they challenge us, how do they give us a solution that we are in search of. So if we really look at what we have been talking about all these days, what holds for us, what and where we are in our journey, right? Suppose we look at it from that perspective, we know that we are the body, mind, and soul with a purpose. The purpose is our own evolution, and along with us, the evolution of mankind, the, the culture, the universe, and so on. So we are surrounded by four typical areas that are influenced by what we go through. So it is our personal behavior, our lifestyle, our work environment, our health management, and so on. Together, these are the ones that influence us. And how do they influence us? Right? So it's basically learning what we have gone through, maybe our memories, our learnings, our experiences, all these categorized into what needs to be activated, what needs to be deactivated, what of that is giving me pleasantness, what of that is giving me unpleasantness, and then continuing our journey. The journey, which is actually paved with milestones, such as the love, the surprise, the joy, the emotions, the feelings, that is that of anger, the sadness, the fear, and all these together forming our experiences, our beliefs, defining our needs, establishing our confidences, our faiths, our success model, and so on, which we utilize in our journey, which are nothing but bodily sensations, bodily experiences, and the ability to manage them. How do we empower ourselves? Right? And one tool that manifests itself day in and day out is just like in physics, we have Newton's laws of motions. We have been through these. So just a recap, saying that one, how do we maintain our inertia? When I say inertia here, it is not the lethargic inertia, but the inertia in terms of our stoic equilibrium of our emotional state, irrespective of the forces that get applied by the circumstances. The second one being always staying motivated, again, not yielding to the various, what do you call, the variations of feelings, and learning the art of observing a feeling, learning from it, increasing our wisdom thereby, rather than reacting to it, and action and reaction cycle forming a loop which does not let us move out, but go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, which will eventually harm us. So what are these few? Today we will probably cover a few of those equations. We have seen this slide so many times by now, I think people should be able to relate to it. Today we will talk about dealing with difficult times. We know we have an identity. We know that we will be facing difficult times. We know that we have to identify our contentment and how we are going to achieve it, and also strike a work-life balance. So if these are some of the elements, today we will cover dealing with difficult times. And all of us, big or small, have been encountering this in our day-to-day existence. Right? So let us start with despair is equal to suffering minus meaning. A word of caution here. These equations, though look like mathematical in nature, because of the way we have used the mathematical expressions of adtraction, of addition, subtraction, maybe multiplication or division. They are not to be treated that way. Let us try to read them as they stand, which is despair is equal to, is a result of suffering and identifying a meaning in order to manage the despair and suffering, keeping it within boundaries, right? So despair, we can say, is defined as a complete loss or absence of hope. In other words, a feeling of hopelessness. If we call suffering a state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship, it's a set of challenges together which overwhelm us at times. That is suffering. That is the cause of despair. And if meaning is the intent or the purpose to communicate something that is not directly expressed, not directly visible to us, then the equation despair is equal to suffering minus meaning will actually identify a solution for us. What we learned from, I'm sure most of us have gone through the book club by Lakshmi ma'am and Ravali and others who have taken us through the journey of life of Louis Hay, which defines difficult times that they have gone through and how they derived meaning out of it and how they achieved healing out of it. Likewise, we have a standing example of Joe Dispenza. These are outside us. What about us? If we look in depth, each of us will identify, and please draw strength from what you identify based on your own past and use those learnings to handle any challenges in future. So now we need to just recall, pain is inevitable, but suffering is an option. Do we want to learn from the pain and convert that to wisdom? Convert that to wisdom for ourselves, wisdom that can be spread to the others, support a situation, and so on. That's an option that we have. We need to once again recall what Gaurav sir is taking us through in this soul journey. Suffering is a part of a plan that we have created for ourselves, either to heal or acquire a skill, or together convert it to a wisdom that is required for our future. And what is the objective? A feeling of hopelessness actually stretches our abilities to the maximum limit, and our ability to use our wisdom to overcome creates the experience of sorts which we may want to retain for ourselves. There are a couple of examples. We will take them as we go. So let us guide our life by one principle, which says, tough times never last, but tough people do. This is actually a title of one of the books written by Father or Reverend, his name is Robert Sculler. He has written a few wonderful books. And this is something which was applicable from the experience of a 70-year-old man who loses everything in his life to a tornado. And he rebuilds his life starting at 70. So that is what we need to create for ourselves, empower ourselves and move. When it comes to despair is equal to suffering minus meaning. So how do we apply this? We need to search that meaning. The moment we identify that meaning, that suffering, we will convert it to a strength for ourselves. We won't suffer. We will take the learning, the wisdom for us to go forward. So let us take one small example of what we have seen in the last 2 years. We have all undergone a sort of a challenge, a sort of a hopeless situation, surrounded by fear, surrounded by uncertainty, and all of that. And have we not overcome all of them? We have encountered disappointments. We have had to change our expectations. We had to identify the real meaning of reality. We have had our regrets. We have had our disappointments. We have had our responsibilities challenged, but we have been able to overcome all of them through perseverance or making the necessary corrections, etc. But we have not lost hope. We have not given in to the despair of the desperate situation that we were in because of the lockdown. Right? So this is one lesson which has taught us a lot, and probably one lesson which has actually brought all of us together onto Zoom. Yeah. Now, so if we really look into how did we get over whatever challenges we encountered, we come across one important thing, which is we change the assumptions and link them to why rather than suffering and then saying, what do I do? I have been hit with this. Yes, we will go through that, but then we don't let it disturb us. Then the second thing that is important is we suffer when we hold on to the perspectives that do not serve us anymore. Right? When there is a change in a scenario, we try to exploit it to our advantage rather than become a victim saying that this is the only way and this is the only right way of doing something, knowing fully well that it doesn't help us a wee bit. So there is a small movie. I don't know whether, I think we should watch this movie just to understand how one can leverage from the experiences. We'll go through this. Is a short, I think, close to 2.5 minutes of a movie. Right? This one came in WhatsApp today morning, and I thought I should share it with one and all.
My name is Sri Sani, and I'm your Miss World America. America is a welcoming and resilient nation filled with great artists, sports fans, and heroes. As the first Indian American Miss World America, I proudly represent America's inclusion and diversity. I not only represent 333 million Americans, but also my Indian heritage of 1.5 billion Indians all over the world. To honor our country's veterans, I helped construct one of the largest American flags. I grew up in Washington State. My life was filled with many challenges. I'm a heart patient with a complete heart block. I underwent a pacemaker surgery at age 12, and I will have 8 more heart surgeries during my lifetime. While in university, I was in a car accident that left me with bleeding wounds all over my face. Yet, my parents inspired me to have a solution and possibility-focused mindset, which helped me turn my adversities to advocacy. I'm only here today because of God's grace and medical treatment. So I feel like I have an overwhelming obligation to do everything I can to help heal others. With great dedication for the past 10 years, I have served over 100 nonprofits. Weekly, I would create inspiring online content, initiate new service projects, and make phone calls to energize donors to donate funds. I have had the honor of graduating from University of Washington while being a visiting student at Harvard, Yale, and Stanford University. My goal is to obtain a doctorate degree in public policy and to one day become U.S. Secretary of Education. I want to inspire people to be less judgmental and love wholeheartedly. I invite you all to join me and my sisters in Puerto Rico as we share our love for humanity. Nos vemos pronto, Puerto Rico.
Right? If that is possible for anyone and that is the goal, why should we give in to despair? Why should we give in to suffering? Why not draw the meaning out of it and come out of it in flying colors? So let us now move on to the next equation. So that was despair is equal to suffering minus meaning. Derive the meaning, manage the suffering, and come out in flying colors. The second one that plays a significant role in our tough times is disappointment is equal to expectations devoid of reality. Expectations minus reality, or recognize the reality, set the expectations accordingly, avoid disappointment. If we take this, the first thing that might strike some of us is the life of Abraham Lincoln. This again, I think Ravali covered it in week 2 of last session that we had, right? A gentleman who goes on to hold one of the highest chairs in the world today and who till the age of 49 has only experienced difficulties, has only experienced challenges and failures. 49 years of his existence. That's hell of a lot. But then how did he do it? What are the lessons we get out of that? So first lesson that we get out of it happens to be that he understood that disappointments were a reality and they were there to be managed. How did he do it? He did not let them interfere with his expectations. In other words, he would search for a meaning to pursue throughout the disappointments that he encountered. And thereby, right? In fact, he says, he used those disappointments as lessons in diligence and discipline, which took him on a journey of integration and transformation rather than that of being a victim and succumbing to the challenges therein. Right? So there's a beautiful lesson that we get out of this. So what are those kind of lessons? Lesson number 1, Lincoln seemed to have used his disappointment as a lesson to shape his transformation. The problems that he was challenged motivated him to do better. And this attitude took him to occupy one of the highest chairs in the country at the age of 51, while he was disappointed till he was he reached the age of 49, right? Disappointment was by far the emotion that scored the highest intensity. When there was a research conducted in terms of disappointment, it was the one that had the highest intensity among the people that were surveyed. And what does that tell us? Disappointment is something that is there, but how people manage that is where their future lies in. Then the disappointment can be the highest that we experience when we reach middle age. Being aware of that and working around it is the mantra for success. And if the disappointment, I mean, see, even if we take Lincoln, even if we take our lives, it is during the middle age that we may face a crisis. And that crisis we need to learn to overcome. These are some of the significant lessons that make some, that give us some benefit. So if from those lessons, let us try to frame what is important for us. So disappointment is equal to expectation minus reality. So let us try to understand the definitions of each of them. Disappointment is a sadness, a displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hopes or expectations. And what are expectations? A strong belief that something will happen or be the case which is in line with what we are desiring. Exactly. I mean, you say that I want this, I get that. Then the reality is a realization. Let me give a small example here, which happened to me just 2 days ago, which does to a large extent fall into this. Say I needed to change my phone, and I had placed an order on Amazon. The phone was committed. It was a committed delivery. So I set my expectations that by 3 o'clock the next day, I would have my phone. 3 to 6, I would spend in terms of fine tuning. With that hope, right? I got ready from my side. I trained my mind saying that, okay, they said 11 o'clock. So let's see, maybe 11:30 it will come because the delivery center is very close by. Now it was 11:30, nothing. I didn't see the out for delivery message when I went into the website. The next was that I wanted to call them up. Then I said, let's give it time. They said 3 o'clock. So around 2 o'clock, I see there is no movement. At 3 o'clock, I see there is still no movement. Then I get frustrated because disappointment had got triggered. My expectations that were set did not meet. So then I called at 3:15, I called them saying, see, they had committed to deliver at 3 o'clock. So they changed the target from 3 to 5. 5 o'clock again, it didn't happen. 5 o'clock I called. And by 8 o'clock, I had become totally frustrated. And I was so possessed with this need for that new device, the enthusiasm within me, that I blasted them, which is not my usual nature when it comes to dealing with outsiders. Of course, if I'm dealing with someone inside, I blast very often. So when that didn't happen, I got frustrated. I vented my anger and then canceled the device. What would have happened if I had let it continue? This is where the universe, the realization of that if I'm not getting something, the universe does not want me to have. So I came to that conclusion at 8 o'clock after I had canceled it. So that is why I did not fructify. Now, next is where the entire interest is. At 11 o'clock that night, I said, universe didn't want me to get it today. So my expectation, just look at the desire, how it is driving me. I went ahead and placed an order at 11 o'clock. the fun of it was I got it at 9 o'clock the next day morning. And remember, just because I was able to realize that, I feel I benefited because I paid about 10% lesser and got a higher spec rather than what I was planning to buy. I was planning to buy a 8 GB, 120, 256 GB ROM based phone. What I got was a 12 GB, 256 and with a blazingly fast charger, a 120-watt charger. So, understanding the principles, understanding these things, and then paving our way gives us a beautiful experience that we can talk about. So, if we really look at the reality, ourselves, the gap, and expectations, we can say that expectations could be larger than reality always, and there will always be a gap between them. That realization and trying to readjust ourselves will give us immense benefits. See, I just took a very, what do you call, a childish example. There are many more like this in life that we can identify. Let us look at the life of the famous physicist Stephen Hawking, who was rendered paralytic step by step, starting at the age of 21. So what was his mantra for success? Disappointments will be there, expectations will be there, but what is reality? And how do I reframe my life? How do I set my expectations to avoid disappointment and take the cognizance of reality? So he says, concentrate on things you desire. Your disability doesn't prevent you doing well. Don't regret the things it interferes with. Here again, in my personal life, I had to lose 4 toes in my 2 feet put together. I mean, I could have been disappointed. I should have lost hope in life. I should have been lying a cripple saying that, oh, without this, I can't survive and all. Or, said, okay, so what am I learning? What is my takeaway from this experience that I'm going through? And how can I utilize it? Probably without reading about Stephen Hawking and without subscribing to the same phenomena, I went through the same lessons and I had my own positives. If I am encountered with that kind of a situation, I know very well to manage, right? So basically, we need to always remember, if we go fishing, we throw the hook at a particular spot, we wait, nothing happens. Is there any harm in just turning around and then trying a different approach there itself? I think there is some benefit. What is it? We can only gain if we are living in the moment and take benefit of it. So if we are under the influence of a disappointment and that disappointment is not going to serve any purpose for me, why bathe in that? Why continue in that? Why get into that loop and let that loop eat me, right? The second thing that is important is, can I do something to modify either my expectations or my disappointment? Learn from that so that I am moving closer to reality. This is a lesson that we could consider. So our solution lies within and at every time understanding this gap, managing this gap, giving it some importance. So we can ask ourselves the questions, why continue with it when it is not going to take me through, and why not I manage that for my own benefit, right? So the third thing that is important, the next equation is, right, we had disappointment is equal to regret plus reality, plus responsibility. That's the third equation. So what is this regret? How does it come into our life. Right? So the definition of regret would be, regret is the wishful older sister of disappointment. That means there's a very close relationship between regret and disappointment. And the gap is, if you feel responsible for that disappointment experienced by anyone, then there is remorse, there is regret. So we need to ensure that that regret is something which is not for disappointment, not for a failure in responsibility, but for a lesson learned. If we learn that lesson, we know we will learn how to manage a life without regret. So in the first place, look at the dichotomy of the word regret. It can come to us with two flavors. One is, it can have a positive impact. A positive impact by virtue of the work that we have done. And it can also have a negative impact. The negative impact is for action not taken. So these are two very key scenarios which, given a choice, first of all, if there were no choice, probably our life would be better. But our life is full of choices. We make a choice, we are successful, then we say, ha, I did it. But we make a choice and we don't get the expected outcome. Then we say, you know what, I should have done the other thing, not this. So these kind of things actually are the root cause for regret. Now, the other cause can always be, blame it on the number of choices. Why choices, right? But without choices, again, life would not be colorful. So both are required. Our ability to manage them in terms of what we require and how we are going to require. And once having taken a decision, right, we need to be prepared for it being a mistake or it being an experience that we would want repeated. So that is the purpose of regret, right? So let us look at it. Whenever we take a decision, right, there are three possibilities which our thought process on post-mortem would look like, which is, I should have, I could have, I would have. Let these not trouble us. So let us realize that regret is one thing which comes in different sizes, different shapes, which sets our expectations, our frames, our attitude in terms of moving forward. It also defines our limits of stretchability. Why? What is this limit of stretchability? Let us say, consider a scenario where someone says, you want $100 right away, take it. Now, there is another option. I will double that if you fight, which is what happens in that who will become a millionaire or kaun banega karodpati, etc. Right? You should know your strengths. Based on your strengths, take a decision. Not take a decision, be reckless about it, and then later on, let it derive unhappiness in your life. So it comes to us, as already stated, there is an anticipated regret or there is a post-decision regret. Be very, very wary of this, right? What happened? There was a movie, right? Where is that one? Oh. Aha. I seem to have missed out. There is a small movie with which I wanted to end today. Which one is this? No,
What is life without
no. Just give me a minute. Huh? I'll just pull it out. History. How to, yeah.
Your life today is the result of all of your choices and decisions in the past. When you make new choices, you create a new future. Hello, I'm Brian Tracy, and today we're going to talk about a very important subject: how to live your life without regrets. I always think it's a very interesting idea to live a life without regrets. I have lived and traveled and worked in almost 120 countries throughout the world, and I have found myself in every type of situation, some of which I would not discuss with anyone. I left home to see the world at the age of 19 and didn't come back for 10 years. So I've done a lot of things in my life that I wouldn't necessarily go back and do again. But here's a couple of thoughts. Number one of the greatest problems in life is that we don't forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we've made. We carry them around and we beat ourselves up about them. But understand this: the person who did those things in your past is not the same person that you are today. In fact, you are a completely different person with different experiences and different knowledge and different wisdom and different insights. The person who did those things that you still regret is not you. It was a younger version of yourself, almost like another person altogether. So let yourself off the hook. It's all right. Everyone makes mistakes. That brings me to my next point. No one is perfect. Making mistakes is a normal and natural part of life. It's as natural as breathing in and breathing out. They are what help us to grow and learn. Mistakes are what help us to become different and better versions of ourselves. So the next time you're feeling burdened by regret, try saying to yourself, I freely forgive myself for any mistake that I have ever made. And repeat it. I freely forgive myself for any mistake that I have ever made. I have had to learn and practice this throughout my entire life. And if you don't do this, the mistake will start to overwhelm you and you'll start to think about it. It'll make you an unhappy person. But if you do that, forgive yourself, you can move forward and get on with your life. Finally, try to ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? What is this experience trying to teach me? Should I be doing more of something or less of something so I don't make this mistake again? If you look into your most difficult experience for a lesson, you'll always find one. As long as you learn from each experience and take that learning with you to other experiences, that's progress. That's living without regrets. Before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a thought to share with your friends and followers. It is this: your life today is the result of all of your choices and decisions in the past. When you make new choices, you create a new future. Now, I'd love to hear from you. So my question today is, what have you done in your life to move past things that you regret? Leave a comment below and I'll be sure to follow up with you. For more resources on how to live a happier life, visit my website.
So that brings me back to the end of today's session. Thank you very much. And Sneha, it's for you to take us through this journey. I hope Sneha is there. Yeah. Thank you, Sneha. You brighten and actually happy Holi, because my day is colorful now. Sneha, you're muted. We are not able to hear you. Ashok, can you enable Sneha, please? Ashok? because I'm not able to let her communicate.
Sir. Yeah, Chandra sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Chandra sir, for the insightful and wisdom-filled session today. And I take this opportunity to wish all of you here a very happy Holi. I think Ravi sir has a hand raised. Ashok sir, if we can. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Ravi sir, please go ahead before we start with our meditation today. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thank you, Chandra sir. Gratitude for a beautiful session. So I want to answer the question in that video, how I moved past my regrets. So I think I did share as part of the experience sharing, but I would repeat because it's more, in this context, it makes more sense. So once I understood from Gaurav's preachings about soul plan and pre-birth planning and all. So I came to conclusion that whatever happened until yesterday, okay, happened as per my pre-birth planning and soul plan. All our experiences, as Gaurav sir keeps saying, no negative or positive, it's all experiences. And I may have done the harm to others, so I practice the forgiveness for the things that I am aware of. I went through that lot of sessions that we practiced in the meditation, forgiveness sessions, bringing that person to the heart, loving that person, even though I hated the most. So we all know that when you hate someone, you are the sufferer, not the other. So I was one of those sufferers for some of the incidents. So I moved past. So nowadays I don't even think too much back. To say you stay in the present moment. There's no question of regret to me anymore. I don't know whether I'm doing right or wrong, but at least I'm very peaceful, very blissful. I don't think about the past too much. Yes, being aware of some of the incidents that are happening in more frequently with the high intensity is something that I would focus on, and trying to figure it out. What should I do or what should I not? So, but I never say that I screwed up, I have a regret, I did this wrong. So for me, everything that happened is right. There's nothing wrong in it. So that's way of me moving past the regrets from the past until yesterday, right? So, and then look forward. That another thing I wanted to talk about is, I wanted to do something. Then what? So what I come to conclusion, whatever you want to do, don't have any expectation whatsoever. Okay. You want like buy a lottery ticket, for example. If you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, you don't get it, but don't have any expectation. And learn to accept, when you do something, when you take a risk, whatever comes along, you should be able to accept it as it is. Maybe if it's in a plan, for example, I invest in the stock market. Every time I invest, I lose the money. This is happening with higher intensity. So after I lose like $200,000-$300,000, now I said, okay, let's get the hell out of this. I have enough money. I don't need to make more money. I don't need to invest. This is my thing that is happening. I've been observing it, right? Rather than having expectation, making 100K, 200K, or whatever, which doesn't bring any benefit to me other than just worrying about it and all that kind of stuff. So I would love to, hope it helps, but I just thought it is a good to share this experience.
No, that's very, very true. In fact, see, if we take that Maslow's 5 dimensions, you are moving towards the self-actualization, saying that, okay, I've met my basic needs. Let me do something which is purposeful, beyond me, rather than playing around within what I have already tasted. Right?
Yeah.
So that's life. That's life, actually. And if the day we start realizing that, we start living by that principle, I don't see why we cannot be happy.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is not to feel negative about anything that happened. That's the most important thing. So you need to realize that. Especially in the soul journey, and if you start believing that, then it all happened as per the plan, and you didn't have the awareness. Like as in that video, he said, you are not the you. You know, you were at 20 years old, you did something, you know, even if you killed someone, that happened as per the plan. You know, for the rest of the world, it's a bad thing, but they didn't know about your soul plan. It happened, you know, whatever happened is happened, that's it. And now you're not 20-year-old person anymore, you know. So
True. Very true. Very true.
yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we'll take some questions after the
Yes, sir.
meditation. But thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, Ravi, sir, for sharing how you could overcome it. It was in brief of what actually we are going to practice today. We are going to practice not only to let go of all these held up disappointment, despair that we have inside of us, the piled up emotions. We are going to listen to the emotions, and we are going to try to derive the meaning that we somehow left behind and use it to make our actions better. So without any further ado, let's get started. I request you all to get into a very comfortable posture. Remove your spectacles if you are wearing any and relax. For the masters who are joining us for the very first time for meditation, please follow the instructions and you'll be able to get into meditative state or a mindful state. A soft music will be playing in the background that will act as a reminder for you to be present in this very moment. Do not get carried away by the music. It is a reminder, just an anchor. My dear friends and masters, becoming mindful of emotions can sometimes be challenging to navigate through these emotions. They come and go with the same impermanence as waves, yet often they carry the same brute force as a storm at sea. We can find ourselves overwhelmed by the force of these emotions, whether the emotions that come are in the form of despair or disappointment or anger or sadness or any other feeling. Our emotional landscape, when heightened, can be an intermingling of numerous feelings and sensations that often boils down to an indescribable experience of unease and comfort. In these melting points, we can find ourselves unable to find clarity, peace, or stillness. Whenever there is a surge of despair or disappointment or any other related, there are several ways to open up to them mindfully rather than getting carried away, ending up in regret or piled up emotions. In our today's practice, we follow 3 simple steps. 3 simple steps in form of The first one being turning towards the emotion, not running away from it. The second step being creating a space to identify the emotion without any judgment. Third step is to become aware of the impermanence of this state, deriving a meaning out of it and letting it all go. There is a common tendency of moving away from difficult emotions when they arise. Doing so may have once served as an effective defense mechanism. We can help ourselves to move through these emotions more effectively by turning towards it. By taking a few deep breaths and gently opening ourselves to whatever is present, we are able to transition through our emotional landscape with greater understanding and acceptance. Remember, friends, the key here is to open from the heart and to stay open to whatever arises. As you find yourself seated in a comfortable posture, with your physical form relaxed, legs crossed, and your back straight, your palms clasped, fingers into fingers, and eyes gently closed. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Once again, a deep breath in and a deep breath out. One more time, to your fullest capacity, a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Bringing your attention and awareness to the body, breathing in, breathing out, the sensation that it has. Your belly expanding and contracting with every breath that is moving in and out of your body. being mindful, being in a meditative state is a good tool for stopping and settling down. Stopping and settling, by taking a deep breath and coming to our inner space of awareness and peace. Can you feel that inner space of awareness and peace? Take your time and at your own pace. Connect with this spacious awareness around your breathing center. Life, our life, unfolding here and now in the body, in awareness. We now start opening to emotions mindfully. Letting go of the breath and the body as a whole. allowing them to recede into the background or rest in the wings. Still very much present while we invite the whole domain of thoughts and feelings to be the center stage in the field of awareness. Open yourself up to that emotion of despair or disappointment that you are still holding on to. Invite that piled up feeling to take up that center stage in your awareness. Open yourself up and be attentive of the emotion that is revealing itself in front of you. Let the related incident or situation open itself to you. Remember, they are neither good or bad. So becoming mindful here in this present moment does not have to entail judgment or suppression. Open up to your emotions mindfully. Just as an observer and not getting carried away in the story. Open yourself up and receive these emotions. You are turning towards the emotions and not running away from them. Yet, just as a witness, as you turn towards this emotion, from a place of unconditional love, from a place without any judgment, see if you can receive a meaning of this suffering you are holding on to. Trust the impressions that you are receiving. Let it all happen at its own pace. Just as an observer, see if you can receive a meaning from all these piled up emotions. You are here to understand the emotion and let it pass. Accept these emotions as best as you can. Take your time, and if still unable to receive the meaning, just observe. Do not get into the loop of assessment or judgment or despair or disappointment. Rest in an awareness of the arising and passing away of thoughts and feelings. Not getting carried away by them, just resting in awareness and letting them all come to you, moment by moment, breath by breath. Trust the impressions that you are receiving. As we become mindful of the emotions, we can heighten our awareness of the transitory nature of our experience. As we turn towards the flow of our emotions, we become less consumed by them. We are not our emotions. And as we realize this, we find strength to journey through the storm of these emotions in our sails. Let's take this opportunity, using this awareness of our emotions, let's affirm to ourselves, I freely forgive myself for any mistake that I have ever made. One more time, say to yourself, I freely forgive myself that I have ever made. I free myself of all the regrets that I have been holding on to. I free myself from the grip of disappointment that I had built up for myself. Be attentive. Connect with the changed vibrations as you affirm yourself. I free myself from the grip of all limiting emotions. Remember, Masters, our life today is the result of all our choices and decisions in the past. When we make new choices, we create a new future. Let us all set and create a new future using the understanding and the meanings that we derive today from our emotions and turn them into our actions. On this note, it's now time for us to return to our physical consciousness, extending your gratitude towards the practice of mindfulness. Gratitude towards all the emotions that revealed themselves today. Gratitude for the meaning that you were able to derive. Gratitude towards your breath in aiding you to be present in this very moment. Gratitude for every experience you have had, or gratitude for all the learnings that you have received. With this, it's now time to bring your awareness and attention onto your palms. Rub your palms together and gently place them over your eyes. Slowly open your eyes inside your palms on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Whenever you feel ready, you may now release your palms and welcome back. Thank you, Masters.
Yeah, thank you very much for the beautiful meditation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Masters, once you are back from meditation, so if you have any questions, yeah, you can ask Chandramukhi sir now, and we can go for another few more minutes for the question and answers for today. So if anyone has a, yeah, you can please raise your hand and you can go from there.
I don't think there will be any questions, Ashok. There will be experience sharing, certainly.
No, maybe we'll just give it a minute for them to come out of for the meditation. So see that if
I
there is
know.
any, yeah, if anybody wants to share any experience or any questions or anything, that is, yeah, that's usual.
Sneha has a knack of putting people to deep slumber.
That is what is happening every day because I could not able to come out and end the session. Even my wife has been telling me that you are not opening up, coming back. Okay.